Good Thursday evening to all of our viewers everywhere. It is the 15th of November and it's 9 p.m. Uplift with Sion Marshall begins right now. Hey, can I tell you? It is cold. So, those of you at home in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and if you're in another part of the Caribbean, it might be a little chilly, yeah? But hey, chilly in the world. It is extremely, extremely cold. Welcome to this another edition of Uplift with Sion Marshall. I'm your host, Sion Marshall, and I'll be with you for the next hour. Now, hey, new equipment check. You go let me know if you're hearing properly because as you can see, I'm testing a new bit of equipment here, and I hope that the audio and everything is coming through nice and clean and fresh. All right, let me go ahead and share this right now on my page. If you give me a few seconds to share this, where are we now? Mm, give me a few seconds. Yes, I see me there. Uh-huh. And I think I'm shared. Beautiful. So I am up. I'm shared, and you can log on. Let me get my YouTube also shared. I'm still sharing. Hold on. For those of you who've logged on, good evening. Just give us a wave, give us say a hi so I know who you are. I can immediately recognize you. Hold on. Please don't worry about that yet. I'm still sharing and I'm asking you as well, please share. So just give me a few seconds so I can share this. Uh, yes. Do, 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 do. I'm still sharing. Give me a second. One, two, three, four, five, six. Done. Fantastic. All right. So yes, those of you who logged on, please give us a share, and also you can just pop a comment in so I know who you are and I can acknowledge you uh, properly. Oh wait, I didn't double check something. Hold on. Let's double check. One, two, three. Ah, nice. Okay, good. So the audio is good. So you guys can comment on the level of the audio, but I've double checked and the audio is good. So yes, we are on for this program. Now, let me apologize to those of you who tuned in last week, Thursday, and didn't get a program. Now, I explained many times before, and I will never get weary of explaining because the program is ours, that currently there is a 4 hour time difference. But it was better than it was a few weeks ago when it was 5 hours. And so to do a live stream, for me, it's at 1 a.m. So sometimes, like last week, after a very long day, I decided, no, son, you ain't gonna make it if you stay up because you're sleep. So why don't you take a nap and wake up a little later and do the program? Well, that didn't work. When I jumped out of, I set my phone to alarm, mind you. When I jumped out of my sleep, it was 23 minutes past two, way after the program should have ended. So I didn't have a program. So I really apologize for that. But that happened to me, and I guess So from time to time it will happen. Thank you so much, Val. Good evening. Faye, Kato, good evening as well. Thank you so much for joining. Please, if I can ask you to share the live so that other persons can log on as well. Now, again, I keep reminding you, the good folk, try the YouTube channel because hey, if you have, you have your own little TV in your room or whatever, you can cast it to your TV, or you could actually go on your smart TV, find YouTube, show it on the TV, so that you wouldn't have to occupy your phone. All right. So that is something that you could probably try. Watching it on YouTube instead or Facebook. But that's the matter for you. So yes, um, I think for me, going forward, at least for the next couple of weeks, I may have to, with your permission, just record the programs ahead of time, because as I come to the assessment period of this term, the requirements, the studying, revision, and so on would take a lot of time. And so to be up at 1 a.m. may not be probable, or practicable rather. So I may need to record the programs at a time, and there won't be a live program. And I know you prefer the live program, but that is something I may have to consider going forward, right? But apart from that, I enjoy bringing this program to you. I look forward to bringing this program every single Thursday night to you. It's really a highlight of my week. Of course, Sunday set as well, no less exciting, because I get to interact with you individuals who supported me for many, many, many years and continue to do so, even though I'm not at home in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and doing radio regularly as you've gotten accustomed to. By the way, this morning I had a really great time on Morning Scoop with Anthony Denny, and I trust the individuals who listened had an opportunity to at least be informed and expand their horizon, their perception, their understanding of a number of issues that are contextual, that are current. And we would no doubt continue to discuss them because they're not only current in a global sense, but they are relevant for St. Vincent and the Grenadines, even though they may not be specific to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They have far-reaching impact for our country and for our people, and so we have to continue to explore those, look at them, so that Vincentians can be informed as to what is happening. All right. Just taking a sip because it's really cold. I want to turn my attention immediately on the just concluded town hall meeting in High Wycombe. Let me publicly, on this program, congratulate all of the individuals and stakeholders who were part of making that event the success it was. And I say the success it was because it was a resounding success. The National Committee and the which is the umbrella organization, and the other groups that form up that committee, congratulations to you. Your support, your interest in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and your desire to continue to contribute to our country are all fully noted. Fully noted. It was on full display as Vincentians of all ages and genders turned out to listen to the Prime Minister, to engage the Prime Minister, and to put forward ideas of how they can continue to work and partner with us back home to continue the sustainable development of our country. I was proud. I was happy. I felt that, yes, Vincentians still do love our country. And Vincentians abroad still do love our country. and they still are willing, even though they are not at home, to do whatever they need to contribute to development. I felt good about that. And hats off and kudos to those fantastic Vincentians in High Wycombe. To those who met me for the first time in person and approached me, one guy came to me and he said he loved the program I did where I went around in different communities and showed different projects and spoke to individuals. And he said he missed it. He hadn't done it in a long time. Well, naturally, because I'm here. But he said, man, you need to go back and do that and just start to do that again. Well, God's willing, I get back to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and many things are possible. Many, many things are possible. But for now, I'm here. And I'm doing this, I'm doing what I can from here, my location in the UK. Other individuals just came up to me, introduced themselves, said, "Listen, I've been watching you for a while. I've been following you on Star. I've been following you on radio. You do not know me, but it's really finally great to meet you eventually." And I appreciated that. I really appreciated making friends, making contact, familiarizing myself with Vincentians in this part of the world who had been following me for a long time. So thank you so much. Thank you for the warmth. Thank you for the welcome in High Wycombe. I did mention earlier today on Star Morning Scoop that this weekend on Sunday, they should be having a Thanksgiving service. I encourage all in the area to check out that Thanksgiving service. I am making every effort to attend, but as of now, I cannot categorically or definitively say that I will be there, but I'm making every effort to attend. Okay. The reception for the Prime Minister, from my point of view, was really good. The individuals came out, Vincentians came out, and were in the hall packed for the start time of 6:30, and the town hall could have started on the dot. It didn't, but it wasn't because of any glitches or any issues. Everything was ready, everything was prepared. But Dr. Gonzalez was still meeting individuals, I think, during that time, or just around that time, the MP for High Wycombe, Emma, I keep forgetting also her name, came to the hall. And so Dr. Gonzalez came off the stage and they met and they talked and so forth. So those little things delay the start of the program. But all in all, it was ready to go from 6:30. And I really admire that level of organization and precision that was on display at in High Wycombe. And then the address. Dr. Gonzalez focused on two main areas. What I would call the development trajectory, and what the government had to do in building that modern, competitive, many-sided post-colonial economy. And he also spoke about the status, gave an update on the recovery after Beira. Uh, in a very conversation-like manner, which, from all indications, was appreciated by those who were there. Now, it is on the YouTube page of Uplift with Sion Marshall, so you can check it out. The audio is not the best, but it's there. And it's also on the YouTube page of the High Commission. Much more professionally done in terms of the audio. So again, you can check that out. But it's available if you're interested in going and seeing. The entire thing lasted about 3 hours. But Dr. Gonzalez spoke for just about an hour thereabout, so or maybe a little less. So you can go and have a look at that, and you can get an idea of what occurred there. But it was really a good town hall meeting. I don't know when it was the last time that Dr. Gonzalez met with Vincentians in the UK, whether it's Highway Come or London or where have you. But from experiencing this one, it was really a great exercise, a fruitful exercise. And even then, Dr. Gonzalez was able to engage with Vincentians who made certain commitments going forward that our country will benefit from in the long run, in the immediate term and also in the medium term. So, congratulations on that. All right. All right. So, we're coming up on the next segment. And I'm wondering if I should play my favorite ad because, of course, it's my boy. So, maybe I should play my favorite ad right now. And then when we come back, we talk about the week after. Don't worry.
Covering 150 years of history, relating the story of 5 generations. It took 12 years to write, and now it's finally here. The story of Pauline Bramble, Springs, Blossoms, and Young Thorns, a literary masterpiece by Dr. Richard A. Byron Cox, author of the critically acclaimed Where Mama Stares in Vain. Pauline Bramble's story is your great-great-grandparents, great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, and your story. It is our story of pain, love, tears, and joys, our story of struggle with no surrender. It's a golden gift to our nation as we mark 45 years of independence. Get your copy and a gift for a friend for this independence from Games Bookshop, Career City Store, Giggles at AIA, and Jazzy's at the Cruise Ship Berth. It is our story like never told before. The story of Pauline Bramble. Read it and be inspired.
If you haven't already gotten your copy, listen, you still have some time and copies are still available. So go out and get your copy of this great book, The Story of Pauline Bramble, written by our good friend and a part of the Upplate family, Dr. Richard Byron Cox. All right. Now, we've been discussing it. I've discussed it on SETI, I've discussed it on Scoop. And no doubt we'll be talking about it a bit more. And that is the result of the presidential election in the US. Donald Trump elected a second time, not re-elected, but he lost his second election bid, but won this time around, defeating Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, who's also the vice president. Now, the finger pointing has been going on, um, and it's interesting. The finger pointing has been going on as to why she lost. One of the few perspectives that I've taken a bit seriously, because apart from the finger pointing and the blaming about everything else, everything, including the candidate herself, which is, in my view, not as responsible as some would want to make it to be. Of course, a number of things came together. There is a letter. Let me see if I can find it because I have it. There is a letter from. Uh, uh, let me find it. Bernie Sanders. It's on his page, his Twitter feed. Let me look for it. I have Twitter on this phone. I don't know. Hold on. But that is one of the commentary I actually read and thought made some sense, and I actually have it right. So I'm going to put it up on the screen for some of you to see it. Where is it? I'm going to put it up. Um, so it's in two parts. Yes, um, it's in two parts. It might be too small for you to read on the screen, but I would reach out, no doubt. Okay? So, this is what Bernie Sanders had to say. Senator Bernie Sanders. And some of you may not necessarily agree with Bernie, but that's all right. Burlington, Vermont. Senator Bernie Sanders, independent, he caucuses with the Democrats. Today, he released the following statement in response to the outcome of the 2024 presidential elections. Bernie says, "It has come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party, which has abandoned working class people, would find that the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class, and now it is Latino and Black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Today, while the rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. Unbelievably, really, inflation accounted for weekly wages for an average American worker are actually lower now than they were 50 years ago." Next page. Today, despite spending far more per capita than other countries, we remain the only wealthy nation not to guarantee health care to all as a human right. And we pay by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We alone among major countries cannot even guarantee paid family and medical leave. Today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions funding the extremist Netanyahu's government all-out war against the Palestinian people, which has led to the horrific humanitarian disaster of mass malnutrition and starvation of thousands of children. Will the big money interest and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some serious political conversation. And those were the words of Bernie Sanders, the senator from Vermont who caucuses with the Democrats. He's not a Democrat, he's an independent, but he caucuses with the Democrats. A very strong letter, if you ask me. But strange enough, with all the other finger pointing that has been going on, Bernie raises two issues. He raises two issues. One of them, I think, in my view, someone could say he raised multiple issues, and they will be right as well. But I prefer to look at the first issue having component parts and the second issue. But if you want to take the first part and individualize the issues, then you are fully allowed to do so. But he talked about the abandonment of the working class. He says the Democratic Party, not the candidate, not Kamala Harris, but the party itself has abandoned the working class. And so their policies were not specific to addressing the issues of the working class. The working class that, by all accounts, is overtaxed and underserved. Because the Republicans have continuously giving tax breaks to the wealthy while keeping overtaxing the middle class, the working class. And the Democrats seem afraid to campaign vigorously and address those inequalities. So the people who are working hard, the middle class, the working class, really working, find that their taxes are killing them. The level of taxes they pay are killing them. They can't get paid family and working leave. And their health care, the cost of their health care is just ridiculous. The US, according to Bonnie's letter, and I have a contest to that, pays the most for prescription drugs than any other country in the world. Now, mind you, during the campaign, one of the things that the Democrats addressed was the cost of insulin, which is a highly requested and highly used drug for diabetes. And it was capped at $35. People are paying so much more than $35 a month. I'm not sure it's a month, sorry. Let me just say $35 for their insulin. Because as Bernie says, the lobby class, the lobbyists and so forth, they know how to spend money to get the lawmakers to act in their interest, not in the interest of ordinary Americans. And you see that. Because tell me how it is that you can be sending billions of dollars to Israel in aid and billions to Ukraine, but you can't invest some of that money in reducing the cost of prescription drugs and reducing the cost of healthcare for your own people. That's an interesting proposition. The paid leave for families, something that Bernie had been campaigning on since he was running for president back in 2016. The Democrats seem unwilling or unable to embrace that policy. And so in all of that, there seems to have been an abandonment of the working class totally. So the white working class voters that voted Democrats, and that came through in the swing states, have abandoned them. No, that does not mean that they voted the Republicans. They could have voted independents, they could have voted Green, or they could have stayed home. But at this point, they did not feel compelled to or motivated to cast a vote for the Democrats. And so they didn't. But according to Bernie, they abandoned the Democrats first. And now, according to his letter, the Latino and Black working class voters have also abandoned the Democrats. Now, that's a strange proposition, though, because as we talk about Black voters, the percentage of Black voters is still significantly high. I think 93% of Black women voted for Kamala Harris, and in excess of 75%, I think 78% of Black men voted for Kamala Harris. So if you look at 93 and 78, that's 6, 7. You have in excess of 80 something percent Black voters voting for Kamala. So I'm not sure that I would say that they abandoned the Democratic Party, the Black voters, but one can assess based on the data that there was a reduction. But could the reduction in votes by Blacks be equated to an abandonment? Maybe not. But excuse me, sorry about that. But that's the way Bernie sees it. So that's the first part of it, the abandonment of the working class. Now, the reason I'm raising that, because I'm not American and I ain't fighting the American elections, the reason I'm raising that is to bring it home and look at what our government is doing for the working class. And we can use the very same, the exact metrics that Bonnie used. Paid leave, the cost of healthcare, the cost of prescription drugs. And we can even add more to the analysis to see exactly where we are compared to the US. So let's use the issue of leave. Vincentian working class, Vincentian workers are guaranteed their sick leave, their maternity leave, their bereavement leave. I mean, all these are things that are there. You have your wife is pregnant. Oh, sorry, she can get her maternity leave for I think 3 months. I believe that can also get some leave as well. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that can also get some leave. You know, your vacation leave is there. There's certain level of sick leave, right? You can get paid as well through the national insurance services. So these things are guaranteed in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we're not a G7 or G20 economy. So we have that down. Our healthcare is practically free, heavily subsidized, heavily subsidized. You can visit any of the health facilities in St. Vincent and the Grenadines and have any number of services done for free. Completely free. You go, you get a check, you get to see the doctor, you get your assessments and so forth. When it comes to prescription drugs, again, heavily subsidized. The cost of your drugs at the hospital, at the government pharmacy, is a $5 stamp if you are between the ages of 16 and 65 inclusive. In other words, if you're younger than 16 and you're over 65, your prescription drugs are free. But if you are anywhere between those ages, you go to the hospital, the prescription is written for you by the doctor, you take it to the pharmacy at the hospital, you pay a $5 stamp and you get your medication. That is even cheaper than the UK, where I am now. It is even cheaper. And I'm talking cheaper dollar for dollar. The last time I got a prescription, I paid £10 at the pharmacy to fill the prescription. $5 at home, £10. If you're using the dollar for dollar equation, that's twice as expensive. If you're using the actual value in terms of the conversion, £10 is $35. That's 7 times more expensive. At least for me, because although I live here, I don't work here. It is my EC dollars that have to be converted to pounds. And so when I spent £10 to fill that prescription, I was actually spending over $35. If I was home, I would spend $5. Hey, good evening, Coach, and welcome. Bernard Smith, good evening. Okay, so on the issue of prescription drugs, the matter that Bernie Sanders was talking about that was partially responsible for the defeat that the Democrats face is an issue in St. Vincent and the Grenadines that we are treating differently, that we are addressing differently, that our people are able to benefit from properly. Because unlike the states that has the highest cost of prescription drugs anywhere in the world, in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, you get your prescription drugs from the government pharmacy for a $5 stamp, if you are between the age of 16 and 65 inclusive. Thankfully, recently, they were able to cap the price of insulin at $35. I don't know what the situation is with insulin in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but I can tell you that I am aware that non-communicable diseases are posing quite a challenge and a threat to our people back home, Yeah? And so it is something that we need to work on. And so those of you who are suffering from hypertension, diabetes, and so on, listen, you need to really focus on addressing that situation. All right? So that's the abandonment of the working class that Bernie Sanders was talking about. But I can bring it home even more and talk about the actual tax situation for the working class. The UK pays higher taxes than St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Both their income taxes, their sales tax or sales taxes or VAT is 16%. In the UK, it's 20. They start much earlier. I think it's £12,000 or something like that a year before they start paying taxes. We're at 25. So Vincentian's making less than $25,000 a year, which is just over $2,200. Sorry, which is just over $2,000. Do not pay taxes. $2,000 a month. Don't pay taxes at all. Okay? And where they do pay taxes, the tax brackets are smaller. The highest bracket is now 28%. I think in Britain it's 40% or something like that. Still. So on the issue of taxes, in the US, they have different levels of taxes: state, federal, local taxes, and their sales taxes. So in terms of taxation and tax policy that supports the dreams, the aspirations of the working class, St. Vincent and Grenadines, to me, is doing so much better than the US and other larger countries, other more developed economies. That is our government supporting the working class. Does that put us at risk, though, of a working class abandonment? And I think that is the conversation that at some point must be had. Is the working class of St. Vincent and Grenadines aware and focused on how this government is promoting their well-being and advancing their interests through policy? It is one thing for us to jump on a bandwagon and talk about potholes here and roads there without looking at some of the bigger, more critical, important issues for our overall development. And mind you, I'm not saying that it's okay, but it's okay for us to have roads in disrepair. I am not saying that it's okay for our cars to be dropping down in potholes. That's not the point I'm making. I would, however, encourage us to look at the broader picture and ask yourself, in the absence of critically needed road repair, and note I use the term critically needed, what is being done? And then you ask yourself, if in the immediate context, it's a trade-off you're willing to take. So while your car is dropping in a hole and you're changing a shock or a front end part, and you might have changed a shock or front end part 3 times for the year, and it costs you $1,200. Your sister, your brother, your child just got a tuition scholarship of $15,000 to help with these studies. You're moaning about the $1,200 you spent in parts and workmanship for your car, and you're ready to run on Facebook and blast the government. Fine, that's your prerogative. But in the same house, a $15,000 check was just received from the government to assist your relative, your daughter, your son, your sister, your brother in their studies. But we don't hear anything about that. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it. And the size of our economy doesn't allow us to do all of it together. So you ask yourself, is this a trade-off I'm willing to accept, at least in the immediate term, short term? Or should the government fix the road and let me find $15,000 to give my child to go to university? Well, I would think that it's easier for you to find 1,200 to fix your car twice over a year period than find $15,000 for UE or for USC or for Aberystwyth or for Monroe. I mean, I don't want you to answer me. Just think about it. Just think about it. So these are things that are being done. That is how the government is supporting the working class of our country. Good taxation policy, support for the education of the working class children. More and more working class children, more and more children of working class families are able to get university education that they did not pay for through significant support by the government. You know, in the US, the Biden administration tried to pass a bill to offer debt forgiveness to students with massive student loans. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have a student loan program with low interest, very low interest rate. But we also assist students with tuition scholarships. So if you don't want to take a loan, you feel you could make it through some assistance from the government and whatever savings or whatever you have, then that's fine. I think you could discipline yourself and just make it on the government's assistance even better. The Republicans have been fighting over and over and over to scrap that plan. The Republicans do not want ordinary Americans with student loan debt to have debt forgiveness. But those same Republicans, and the Democrats as well, have no problem sending billions of dollars to Israel. Explain that to me. No problem sending billions of dollars to Israel. And that is where we are, you know. That is where we are. So you see what is happening in the US, according to Bernie Sanders. The abandonment of the working class. But you come home to St. Vincent and Grenadines and you see the support of the working class by our government. You look at the things that Bernie talk about, support in healthcare, support for paid leave, support subsidized prescription drugs. But you can also look at things like the tax policy of our government, which continuously increases the spending power of the working class. And things like support for education of working class families. A complete opposite. Well, opposite is the word, yes. I was looking for another word, but chalk and cheese, as we say, with what is happening in America. Support for the working class and lifting individuals out of poverty and lifting the quality of life of individuals consistently. When the government talked about lifting SVG higher, that wasn't a slogan that was pulled out of the sky. That is something that was crafted based on the realities of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have been lifting people higher. We've been lifting people higher. So Kojo says it's 20,000 in, I guess, in his state before they pay taxes. So it's 20,000 in his state. I guess it varies from state to state. It's about 12,000 here in the UK. It's 25,000 in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You could see. And their rates of taxation are significantly higher in those countries that were listed. Now, this is a conversation that we must continue and we can continue, but I don't want to spend the entire program addressing that because there's one other element I want to talk about. But just for tonight, and before I move, just to recap, I just showed the difference between what Bernie Sanders regarded as the abandonment of the working class in America by the Democrats and why the working class abandoned them, which led up to the results of the election. Because he also spoke about the support for the war in Gaza. He said the extremist Netanyahu, support for the extremist Netanyahu government, all out war in Gaza. And Bernie is a Jew. And so who better to talk about the atrocious impacts, the genocidal impacts of the war in Gaza brought on by the Israeli, supported by the US and the UK as well, Dimitri. And Bernie sees that as also being very significant. So the abandonment of the working class and the war in Gaza. And he asked at the end, would they learn? Would they do differently? Probably not. And so if you're going to continue to do the same thing over and over and expect different results, I believe that is what the definition of fool is. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
Covering 150 years of history, relating the story of 5 generations. It took 12 years to write, and now it's finally here. The story of Pauline Bramble, Springs, Blossoms, and Young Thorns, a literary masterpiece by Dr. Richard A. Byron Cox, author of the critically acclaimed Where Mama Stares in Vain. Pauline Bramble's story is your great-great-grandparents, great-grandparents, grandparents, parents, and your story. It is our story of pain, love, tears, and joys, our story of struggle with no surrender. It's a golden gift to our nation as we mark 45 years of independence. Get your copy and a gift for a friend for this independence from Games Bookshop, Career City Store, Giggles at AIA, and Jazzy's at the Cruise Ship Berth. It is our story like never told before. The story of Pauline Bramble. Read it and be inspired.
All right. I'm just sending a quick message here. I'm sending a quick message. All right, so this is the final segment. I just want to chat a little bit about COP29. And I'm sure you hear that reference all the time, COP. COP, COP, is the term used for the phrase. It's an abbreviation, but it's more than an abbreviation. So it's called again, boy, where you the abbreviation forms a word. It's called Lord, my teaching days slipping me, boy. And the teacher's on here now. It's called acronym. Yes, the acronym used it stands for Conference of the Parties, and the parties are generally the signatories to the agreement, to the treaty. So the signatories to the treaty, and St. Vincent and Grenadines is one, and this treaty is called the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. St. Vincent and Grenadines is one such signatory, or one such party. And so there is a conference held every year. Number 29 this year is being held currently in Baku, Azerbaijan. Now that, of course, has significance for me because I lived in Azerbaijan for 2 years as a university student. still have very fond memories of my time in Azerbaijan. Yes. Then the significance about this cup, as was the case in 2016, and I remember that because in 2016 the cup was in Marrakesh, Morocco. Might have been 23, I think it was. 2016 is what, 8 years ago. So that's a cup 21. Okay, maybe. It was in Marrakesh, Morocco, and I attended that cup representing St. Vincent and the Grenadines, one of the parties. And it was that year when the world woke up to the election results of Donald Trump defeating Hillary Clinton. I remember vividly that some American delegates cried, like cried. It was such devastating news. And for individuals who involved in climate negotiations and so forth, understanding the position of the incoming president was not something that they were willing to accept at the time. So they were devastated. They were absolutely devastated to the point where they cried. Well, I can only imagine what the mood is like at the COP this time around. And the envoy, the lead on environment for the US, in his address, no doubt he had to, good night, Aisel, thank you for logging on. You just barely make it there, but thank you so much. The lead spokesperson for the US on climate change, no doubt had to edit his address to incorporate the actual reality. And that is, the US would more than likely withdraw a second time from the Paris Climate Accord. Listen, I'm not trying to scare anybody, but that would have significant repercussions to the work going forward on addressing the climate issue in our world. And who are the most affected? Small island states like ours. This is the time when collective work, collective effort is critical. This is the time when the world's major emitters, when the producing countries of the world, when the fossil fuel countries of the world need to really work together with the more vulnerable countries in addressing climate challenges that we have. It really isn't the time for countries to be withdrawing and taking an isolationist view that suggests, you know what, I am only interested in what is good for me. And like the spokesperson, the lead on climate for the US said, the word that identifies the relationship between the president-elect of the US, Donald Trump, and climate change is hoax. He thinks climate change is a hoax. He thinks that this issue is made up. Now, that goes against years of science. And I know there are many individuals who are skeptical about science, especially having experienced a COVID pandemic where things change rapidly and we were learning as we went along. And so sometimes, well, you didn't get the notification. Sorry about that. You didn't get the notification, so you need to do something so you can get the notification. I don't know why. But I noticed tonight's numbers are actually quite close. So maybe many individuals didn't get the notification this time. So check your notifications. And that's why I keep saying check YouTube. YouTube might be better and give you better notifications because Facebook, that's what Facebook does. But anyway, yes. So yes, the skepticism around science based on some of the decisions that we got during COVID is understandable. But if you were to be honest, if you were to be very honest, the information during COVID wasn't that far off. It wasn't 100% accurate, but it wasn't horrible because at the end of the day, you saw that with the increase in inoculation came a decrease in fatalities. It's as simple as that. But individuals who support the Republican Party, headed by President-elect Trump, are attacking the science. You have something called the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change, which is a panel of over 1,000 of the top scientists in the world studying this issue. And they may not be 100% correct, but they are onto something. And their science has been validated time and again with regards to what is happening with our climate. But the incoming US administration doesn't want to hear about that science, doesn't believe in that science. And as a result, that would determine their attitude towards climate change and climate change policy. And unfortunately, in the same, you hear people say all the time, if the US get a cold, the Caribbean gets pneumonia. That is even more applicable as it regards climate change. That if the US acts indifferently to climate change, the repercussions will be disastrous for small islands like ours. I noticed, I've been following, that some countries have decided to scale up their contributions and their engagement with the UNFCCC. And that can only go well for our work in climate going forward. Because at some point, somehow, there has to be an effort to cancel out the negative impact of a significant partner like the US pulling out of the climate change accord and making a U-turn on their obligations regarding climate. But that's the world we live in. Now, many voters in the US, when they voted, they weren't thinking climate. Many of them. They probably didn't know and they don't care. And they probably have no qualms repeating the position of the Republican Party. It's a hoax. Many who voted don't care about the cost of insulin and prescription drugs because they probably don't want to go to the doctor anyway. Or they may be in a state where certain things are guaranteed. Many who voted didn't care about the issue of deportation because they're not in a mixed family that puts many at risk of deportation, or probably they want to see the deportation. But at the end of the day, what resulted is a decision that would result in policies that would negatively affect the Caribbean on issues of climate change, on issues of immigration, on issues of national security, on issues of foreign policy. And that is where we are. And unfortunately, there's very little we are able to do about it. However, about what happened there, however, what I'm encouraging, and I've done so before, is for our community to come together, for CARICOM to come together, start working on collective plans, start harmonizing our approach and our responses to a number of these challenges, because we've heard many times, and maybe this is the opportune time for us to put that to the test, that unity is strength. And with that, we've come to the end of this another program. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for being a part of the program. And it seems many did not get the notification, but the program is there on YouTube and on Facebook. You can always go and watch it. But check your notifications. For those of you who have YouTube, log in on YouTube and maybe you'll get your notifications there. Until next week, when I'm back with you with another program, Sion Marshall saying, enjoy the rest of your Thursday evening. Take care.